Mass Effect is a series that's near and dear to my heart. I've lived Mass Effect. And I don't mean going through the motions and giving sideways glances at the story, I mean becoming a fucking scholar of the lore. I love Element Zero, I love the Turians, I love the Skillian Blitz, everything about Mass Effect is excellent. Andromeda is a bittersweet release for me. Many die-hard fans of Mass Effect were left hungry from 3, and I would be lying if I didn't say that there weren't feelings of disappointment from Mass Effect 3's ending. Acknowledgement must be given to the writers for rounding off the trilogy, after the update that fixed the endings anyway. Besides, all stories have to come to a close. Would I have argued against a revived Commander Shepard returning for Mass Effect 4 instead of the Andromeda spin-off? No. It's up to you to decide whether that makes me a pandering fanatic or not. I'd like to start off by stating that Andromeda is stunning. Then again, this is the Frostbite engine, pushing Battlefield high above its direct competitor Call of Duty in terms of graphic fidelity. The alien sun scorching across the dunes of Eos or the howling blizzard of the mountains of Vold make for an utter delight. That being said, I've recently upgraded to a top-of-the-range PC, and out of the blue one day, my frames went from a solid 60 on Ultra right down to 5, with no reason or obvious fix. This being on a 1080, mind you. Optimization can be an issue. For me, medium texture quality isn't too much of a sacrifice for performance, but if you lack the hardware, expect to tune down the quality a bit. This has been fixed in later patches, but it still is a bit iffy in places. The controls and combat system follow the third-person stable. Aiming is reliable and movement is fluid enough for a shooter still clinging to its cover-based roots. What makes things a tad more engaging is the use of jump jets for exaggerated movement. Being able to spring yourself 20 feet into the air and then evade in whatever direction you need to allows flanking and charges that just weren't possible in the previous installments. No longer is Mass Effect about hiding behind one wall and plinking off enemies from a distance. With a new boosting mechanic, you're able to swiftly dart between covers and get a new perspective on the fight. 3 categories of abilities return in the form of combat, biotics and tech. These act as skill trees that you invest points into to give you different abilities like concussive shots, biotic charges and deployable turrets. The whole system is very well integrated and can allow you to shape your combat style to suit your needs, with different profiles giving you skill loadouts to switch on the fly. The choices are tremendous. Items play a much larger role in Andromeda than the 2 previous installments, discounting Mass Effect 1, with weapons and armour being customizable with mods, traded and developed through research scanned by the player on different planets. The scanning mechanic to accrue research points is central to many encounters, but it's not given such a high priority that it damages the flow of exploration or combat. Onto the story, and Mass Effect Andromeda sees various colonies of each familiar council race take arcs to the Andromeda galaxy in hopes of colonising it. The 600-year journey takes them away from their families and the familiarity of the Milky Way, which brings this wondrous undertone that permeates all the characters. The feeling of being so far away from home hundreds of years into the future. The whole overarching sense of isolation is incredible. You play as Sarah, or Scott, or insert name here Ryder, the offspring of the human Pathfinder, Alec Ryder. As Pathfinder, Alec is tasked with reconnaissance and preparation of settlements on new worlds. But due to events that I shall not explain due to spoilers, Ryder Jr. becomes the new Pathfinder. In the beginning, the high stakes of the story really pulls you in, and although many others have complained of poor writing, I actually really enjoy Andromeda's narrative. Where the game fails for me is the execution. Here's where I want to discuss the problem with open world settings with mainstream releases: repetition. The game offers a wide variety of worlds to explore and various star systems to travel between. The first issue is that travelling between points in the game is very tiresome. Although all the flight animations are smooth and enjoyable, sitting through the ship travelling between the systems when you have to hop between quests on various planets is frustrating. The animation for travelling between planets of the same star system can be skipped, but it's still mercilessly drawn out. Furthermore, traversing worlds requires the use of the Nomad, where many planets pose environmental effects such as extreme cold or radiation. In my opinion, traversing via the Nomad is engaging at first, but since you spend most of your playtime in the thing, it becomes a chore. The Nomad doesn't have any choice of weaponry, meaning small creatures or little outposts have to be engaged on foot and cleared, necessitating exiting the vehicle and re-entering. Besides, if you leave the Nomad far away to snipe, take out enemies at the base, you have to climb back into the Nomad, drive to the base, collect any drops or salvage, and climb back in. Without light weaponry or a call function for the Nomad outside of designated fast travel stations, the Nomad feels more like a hindrance than anything else. Not to mention that the powerful 6-wheeled vessel seems to struggle with slopes even a family minivan could handle without going into an agonisingly slow extra traction mode. My main gripe with Mass Effect Andromeda is the questing system. To not spoil any of the story, every single planet has a sort of alien vault you have to explore, and they're all exactly the same design. Imagine the Draugr ruins in Skyrim without the inventive little twist each one had. Oh, and to unlock these ancient alien ruins, you have to complete a Sudoku puzzle. I fucking hate Sudoku puzzles! Not to mention the pathetic amount of fetch quests, where you have to find 3 of something to scan before driving somewhere and clearing a camp. BioWare didn't even bother to hide their laziness of this copy-paste design. And you can only activate 1 active quest at a time, with smaller supplementary quest markers showing up if you're close to a scene of a non-active quest. But these markers are range based and not very clear, meaning you have to go back into the journal and activate them. And I'm almost certain some are just plain broken. Skyrim allowed for the activation of several quests at once. There's no excuse for this. Andromeda has taken Mass Effect into an open world format, but in the worst way possible. Exploring and adventuring is fine at first, but becomes draining. Combat is refreshing but held down by clumsy travel, and planet hopping feels as slow as it would be in real life. And this might be just a personal gripe, but BioWare have tried to shovel in multiplayer with strike missions. They're not compulsory, but I'm gonna say this now. Stop putting time into multiplayer and concentrate on single player. That's what you're good at. Don't get me wrong, Mass Effect 3's multiplayer was decent, and this one's pretty good, but I would have traded it for a longer campaign with better writing, hands down. When Andromeda was first released, the atrocious animation saw me almost refund the game there and then. It was an unpolished joke, unworthy of consumer support, let alone fan support. But BioWare have heard the criticism, and the 1.05 and 1.06 updates have done wonders. It's not perfect, but it's Mass Effect. And that's so important because to me Mass Effect is the quintessential sci-fi. It's lore rich, its characters are lovable, literally in most cases, and its setting is beyond epic. It's buggy, clumsy, first draft of potential. It's a gem buried beneath issues, but it's definitely Mass Effect and I definitely love it. Well, I definitely like it. If you're looking for the grand scale rescue mission and the hero of the hour and the interesting alien races that you can have sex with, then Andromeda has all that. My fanaticism doesn't cloud me from an objective recommendation. It's good, but it's not great. Have some patience, fall in love with the characters, and you'll enjoy it. You will like this game if you like Mass Effect, off-world driving, and alien sex. Mass Effect Andromeda tentatively gets an indie bin recommendation. If you'd like to hear my extended thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda, please check out this video here.